Welcome back to part 2 of the Week 8 recap. We look at the last 7 games of the Sunday slate. Dad, we got your lines tonight. Monday Night Football. They're looking to bounce back from their disappointing loss against the Ravens. Are they going to do it? Are they going to blow out the Raiders?
Yeah, I hope they lay the wood to them pretty good. So they should. Lions play well at home, and hopefully they're a little pissed off. This is their last game before the bye week, so they got another injury in the offensive line. So, but anyway, I mean that's half the NFL. So
yeah, yes, indeed. Do you think they make a move? Trade deadline move?
If they do, I hope it's on the defensive side, either for like a cornerback or another edge rusher. So I trust, unbelievably, I trust in the his name is Brad Holmes, the general manager for the Lions. You know, that guy's been money for 3 years now, and whatever he does, I'm going to say, yep, that's the right move. When they traded Hawkinson last year, I think I talked to my brother, and I said, what the F are they doing? They're trade their best player, but geez, that turned out all right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was a head scratcher at the time for sure. So, yeah, the NFL is strange. It's week to week, and again, like anyone can beat anyone. We're learning that this year. So yeah, we're gonna get into 7 games. Just recap, look beyond the box score a little bit for some other important things, and we'll just jump right into it with our first game, the Saints at the Colts. I think this was the best offensive performance under Dennis Allen and the Saints. 38 points, I think over 500 yards of offense. Like they were just on fire. Derek Carr, 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. So I think we're learning that maybe in a good matchup, he could be a streamer during a bye week or whatever. Alvin Kamara had, I think, 2 touchdowns. Yeah, 2 total touchdowns, only 4 catches, which is not like him since he came back from suspension. But yeah, he had over 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's been a stud this year. I'm just going to double check in half PPR where he ranks, even though he missed 3 weeks. He's the RB13, even though he missed 3 weeks.
I underestimated him, thought he was getting older and all this other crap, and never been a huge fan, but I am now.
Yeah, no, and you're kind of right. Like it's more the volume than anything. Like he's not necessarily like 17 for 59, 17 carries for 59 yards. It's not super explosive. He did have 4 for 51 in catches. But yeah, he's in terms of average, it's McCaffrey, it's Kamara. Oh no, sorry, McCaffrey. No, it's Achane technically in 4 games, and then McCaffrey and then Kamara. So yeah, he's been awesome. Rashid Shaheed had 3 catches for 150 yards and a touchdown. That's like Randy Moss numbers. No one started him, but he's the perfect like DFS or best ball player. Like you can get games like that from him. Michael Thomas doing Michael Thomas things, 4 for 68. Like it's pretty insane, his numbers. I know he caught a touchdown last week, but he had 8.6, 9, 8, 7.3, 8.5, 7, 11.7, 8.8. He's just, if you need 7.5 to 9 points safe, you start Michael Thomas. And if he catches a touchdown, you're going to get 12 or 13 points. So, yeah, I bet you he's on pace for over 1,000 yards this year, which is kind of crazy. Chris Olave, are you worried about Olave, Dad? Like, we talk about it every week, it feels like.
It's strange, Yeah, and, I watched part of this game. I was kind of jumping around on games. And there was a pass that Carr threw to Olave. He made a hell of a move, and he was like in the clear going down the sideline, and the ball came up to him, and he just friggin' dropped it, uncontested catch. And it's like, dude, you can't, what the hell's your problem? So
Yeah, it's a little strange for sure. Yeah, we expected him to be a top 10 guy, and he's wide
yeah,
receiver 30 on the year. So I don't know. Like, I don't know. And it's not like he's been super disappointing. Like, he's only had one bust game, like less than a point. All the other games, he's had 1, 2, 3, 4 double-digit point weeks, and then his other 3 games, he's had at least 7 points. So in half PPR, that doesn't kill you, it doesn't win you weeks, but people drafted him in like the second, third round, like that around that turn. So expecting a lot more, and it still could come. Taysom Hill, I think this guy could be a top 5 tight end rest of the season. Like, they're going to keep using him like he's doing. He's running more routes. I think he only ran like 12 routes this week, but with Juwan Johnson came back, their other tight end. But even if he just does that and he catches 1 or 2 balls, he had 9 carries. He's just good. Like, when he gets the ball, he had 9 carries for 63 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also threw the ball twice. He completed 1 for 44 yards. Like, you just put all that together, and the dude's going to be a stud this year if he keeps that up. Do you agree, Dad? Like,
yeah, they obviously utilized him heavily in this game. Running the ball and throwing. I don't know what his fantasy points were, but
he had 22 points. I mean, he had 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, touchdowns. But it's like, yeah, I mean, you got somebody. He's kind of a boomer bust guy, but when he booms, it's pretty good usually.
Well, yeah, and he was running more routes the last couple of weeks, less this last week. But again, even if he runs 15 routes and catches 1 or 2 balls, and he runs the ball 7, 8 times, and and they use him in the goal line, like, I think it's good for the Saints. It should be. I would imagine it's kind of hard to, if you're game planning for the Saints, it's like, okay, this is what we do in Carr's there, but now we got to do, okay, what about when Taysom Hill, the 10, 12 times and Taysom Hill's back there, I don't know. It's surprising to me that there's not more teams doing this with a player like, bringing in a player similar to Taysom Hill. You got to be able to play quarterback a little bit, but
I think what it is they don't necessarily know how to use them. That's what I think. So the Saints have had this same offensive coordinator going back to the Sean Payton days. So that guy's been there, and obviously that's exactly what I think is, that, I thought the same thing. It's like, there's got to be a bunch of these guys, around, and but yeah, no one wants to. I don't know. I don't want to say waste. No one wants to use a roster spot. Does that mean they got to offensively scheme for him, and give him some plays and stuff like that? So I don't know. That's what I think.
Yeah, yeah, and it could be harder. It's harder to justify, like, are you going to take Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow off the field 10 times a game? Like, probably don't want to do that. So works with Carr though, but I don't know. It's pretty impressive there on the Colts side. Minshew kind of came back to earth a little bit and looked like, why he's probably better suited as a backup that can start a few games. 215 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. I don't understand Jonathan Taylor. He had 12 carries for 95 yards. Can we give him more carries? Can we give him 20 carries? Like 12 for 95? Why doesn't he have more? This game it was closer.
Yeah,
right?
They gave Moss 11, Zach Moss, so they're still, we've seen this for 3 weeks now at least, that kind of a 50-50 split, but Jonathan Taylor is your future. You actually signed him to what they call a long-term contract, at least 3 years, I think. So get the guy the ball.
Yeah.
They both Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss had ripped off over a 40-yard run. So
yeah. No, you're right, but it is important to note we've seen now Jonathan Taylor, his first game back, 15 snaps. Next game back, it was 40% of the snaps. Last week it was 50, and this week it was 60%. So it's gone up every week. So I think it's time to just let him loose and go back to Zach Moss. And Zach Moss is playing well. You got to admit that. So he had a nice run, 40-yard run as well, like you said. So Josh Downs is just proven to be a nice PPR, even half PPR weapon, 7 for 72. Michael Pittman, 8 for 40 and a touchdown. He's wide receiver 11 on the year. Dad, did you realize that?
No, not really. That's kind of shocking to tell you the truth, but
yeah, hasn't had his buys, so there's a couple people behind him that probably be ahead of him with their buys, and Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to pass him after tonight's game, so he'll be more like wide receiver 12, but Devontae Adams can pass him. So, anyways, he's having a good year because you got incredible value for him. So, but yeah, we'll move on from this game and get into the Eagles and the Commanders. Eagles and Commanders. The Commanders seem to play them tough. I don't know, like it's
all right.
It's
I got a trivia question. Who
Yep.
was the number one fantasy scoring quarterback this week?
Must be Sam Howell, right?
Sam Howell, man. By a point, a point and a half or something like that over Josh Allen. But it's like, wow, talking about boom or bust. I mean, this guy.
And there's no rhyme or reason to like his bad and good games. Like, it doesn't make sense. I wish I could figure it out. Like, there's no rhyme or reason whatsoever. Like,
I heard he was leading the NFL and getting sacked also, and it's like,
it was at a ridiculous pace.
Yeah, it was over 40. 40 sacks or something like that, and it's like, but the guy's still completing, over 60% of his passes. So, I mean, something's got to be right there.
Yeah, no, it was pretty insane. 41 sacks in 8 games, only one yesterday. So he had 40 sacks in the first 7 games. That's insane. I was going to smash the record set by David Carr. And a lot of that's on him. And you think, oh, you're playing the Eagles, you're about to get sacked 10 times. And nope, just once. Doesn't make sense. Like, I don't know. Like, again, I can't figure out his bad, good games. Like, he was playing the Giants last week. Bills are signing Leonard Fournette. Just so you know, that came across. We'll talk about that later. But the Giants, you think, oh, he's going to light up the Giants last week? No, he has a terrible game. Oh, he's going to get smashed against the Eagles? No, he's QB1 this week. There's no rhyme or reason. But on the Eagles side, real quick, Jalen Hurts, he had an injury. I think he only had 1 carry outside of the tush-push carries or the brotherly shove, whatever they want to call it. So keep an eye on that. Like, he had a knee issue, so that could severely hurt he still had 4 touchdowns and 320 yards passing. So A.J. Brown is a monster.
Wow, he's a stud.
Yeah, set the record. It's kind of an arbitrary, like, why is the number at 125 yards? Why isn't it at 120 or 117? But anyways, he has 6 straight games of over 125 yards. Like, the dude is an absolute stud. Offensive player of the year, potentially. Like, he's up there with, like, Tyreek Hill and McCaffrey, I'd say. And why not MVP? Like, why is it always a quarterback? Why can't it be, like, we've seen these quarterbacks suffer without the receivers sometimes. Like, why can't it be a receiver? He's almost at, we talked about Tyreek Hill at 1,000 yards. A.J. Brown has 940, so nothing to sneeze at there. You got a big game from Devontae Smith. If you hopefully kept, me and Brian talked about it, just you don't want to miss the big game from him, so you keep starting him, and you got it. 7 for 99 and a touchdown. Dallas Goedert 4 for 36. DeAndre Swift, he's kind of come back to earth a little bit. I think teams are focusing a little bit more on stopping the run. That being said, he still had 57 yards and a touchdown. So again, like, you're fine with Swift. He's RB5 on the year. Jeez. Didn't expect that. Yeah,
he had he had a huge game early on.
Yeah, but I mean, week 1 he had 0.8 points and everyone was freaking out. But from then on, He's only had less than double-digit points once. So, yeah, he had a big game. It was 25 points. It wasn't like 40. And then he had 14, 16, 14 this last week, 13 and a half. So, yeah, he's been pretty good. Not much to say about the Eagles. Like, you're going to be starting all those guys. Brian Robinson, we talked about Sam Howell already. Brian Robinson, he's like the perfect, like, you probably should have traded high when you could have. Still RB10 on the year, but it's not an exciting one. Like the last 4 weeks, only one game above 10 points. What are you doing with him, Dad? Are you just going to keep kind of starting him and hope you get 12 points from him?
Yeah, unfortunately, he only had 10 carries, so obviously there wasn't a lot of emphasis on the, the running game. I'm still running him out there just because who else is going to do it for the Commanders? So
yeah, for the most part, he's going to get 15 carries, ideally, and that's hard to pass up. So. Freaking Jahan Dotson, 8 for 108 and a touchdown. He's the type of players that frustrate me because I was bought heavily into him, and then I dropped him and then he goes off. It happens all the time, but kind of had to with that big bye week we had last week. I don't know. Do you think this is kind of a fluke, or is it turning the page type of thing?
I don't think it's a fluke, Obviously, you look at McLaurin's numbers. He had, and the comparison there, obviously Dotson was probably single covered or something, and McLaurin was getting a lot of attention. McLaurin had 12 targets and 5 receptions, so Dotson, that could have left Dotson open, and
yeah.
And there was quite a few, there was a lot of passing going on by the Commanders, so there were some decent numbers there on their side, receiver wise.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of agree with you in there. They were probably focusing a little bit on McLaurin, who still had a good game, 5 for 63 and a touchdown. Jamison Crowder out of nowhere, 7 for 95 and a touchdown. Okay. Yeah, and yeah, it's frustrating with Dotson because it's like this was here all year long. Like, why weren't you doing this all year long with giving McLaurin his and Dotson his, and then Logan Thomas 6 for 44 and a touchdown. I was a little upset because I dropped Logan Thomas in our redraft league for Trey McBride, and obviously that paid off. But after the morning games, it's like, damn it, like, why did I do that? He got 44 yards and a touchdown from Logan Thomas with 6 catches, but obviously that worked out. Dotson, if he's out there on waivers, definitely pick him up. Dad, are you going to start him next week after seeing this, or do you want to see it one more time?
No, I'm going to start him. There's some bye weeks. I actually have him. I might have picked him up from your drop, so I started him, and I know there's some buys next week, so I'm starting them.
Yeah. I'd feel a little nervous, but again, if you don't have any other options, there's a reason why this guy's a first round pick. I think we forget he was like the 16th overall pick in the draft, so we kind of let ourselves forget that, I think, sometimes. But yeah, Jahan Dotson, I'm fine if you want to start him. So nothing else in this game to talk about. So we'll move on to the Browns at the Seahawks. Browns should have won this game. They kind of blew it. They're starting PJ Walker for who knows how long, which is unfortunate because I think they have a good team. But PJ Walker is limited in what he can do. In terms of the backfield, Jerome Ford did play. I know people were, high ankle sprain, worried about him a little bit, but he did play. Just looking at the snaps real quick. He played in 26 snaps, Kareem Hunt 27, Pierre Strong 24. So you have a legitimate 3-headed monster there. I think it's still Jerome Ford's backfield, but Dad, if you had to choose, a Browns running back rest from this point on, who's going to be the number one? Who's going to be the top guy? Hunt or Ford?
I think Ford, but the injury's a little concerning.
Yeah.
But I think that's who I would put my money on.
Yeah. But that being said, like, he still played just as much as everyone else. So it is a little strange. Like, are they moving towards a three-headed thing? Kareem Hunt had the best game because he had the touchdown. Amari Cooper, like, still doing it. 6 for 89. I know you've personally never been a big Cooper guy, but like, he is only wide receiver 42 on the year, which is a little lower than I thought. But he's still putting up numbers even with PJ Walker in there and Deshaun Watson with the busted shoulder. So David Njoku's been really coming on, 4 for 77 and a touchdown. David Njoku, the last 4 weeks has actually been pretty good. He's up to tight end 16 after a pretty slow start. So he's a guy, if you need a stream there. The Elijah Moore experience, you can probably move on from. I'm a little disappointed. I kind of had high hopes for him. Like, there's another guy that shows Dynasty, how the mighty have fallen, huh? Like,
yeah,
he was a hot topic in his first year, but
the passing game with PJ Walker is not going to be, it's not going to be in the upper echelon into the NFL. That's for sure.
No, looks like you just want Cooper and Njoku is basically all you want for this game, or for this team moving forward in terms of the passing offense. Yeah. So we'll move on to the Seahawks. Man, Geno Smith, again, like, I drafted him with Anthony Richardson, thought it was the perfect guy. He's just not, like, he's so frustrating. They call it the Geno coaster ever since going back to his Jets days, where, man, he makes some throws. You're like, holy crap, not many guys can make that type of throw. And then he's, the first half, he's looking good. I think he has like 150 yards and a touchdown in the first half. Then he gives a couple interceptions, and fact of the matter is he's had one game of over 17 points. That's it.
Wow.
That's not cutting it for quarterbacks. So every game this year, except for one, he's been under 17 points. Yeah. So what are you doing there? Do you think it's just tough defense and the best is yet to come for him, Dad? Or are you just trying to get off of him?
Yeah, getting off of him might not be really easy. So you almost got to ride with what you got. And but I do, watching bits and pieces of games, and you see Geno, it's like, man, he looks really good, and and then there's a couple of dumb shit plays of interceptions and things like that, and but I think if he's your starting quarterback, you're going to be rolling with this guy.
Yeah, it's just so tough to figure out this year, like that group of Sam Howell, Love, Purdy, Russell Wilson, even like Dak, CJ Stroud, like this group outside of like the top guys. So hard to figure them out week to week. It just seems to be very inconsistent. But yeah, I kind of agree with you. He does get the Ravens next week, which isn't great, but then he gets the Commanders and then the Rams, which I think are pretty good matchups. I don't know. It's tough. Kenneth Walker, this was another strange one. It's like only 8 carries in the game. I know he had the calf injury, but Zach Charbonnet, it must have been the calf injury, right? Because Zach Charbonnet outsnapped him, and he only had 8 carries, Kenneth Walker. Do you think it was the calf injury, Dad, or do you think we're seeing Charbonnet play a bigger role?
No, I think it was calf injury. So Charbonnet, they just haven't been featuring him, but we always talk about, hey, wait till midseason, things are going to change with some guys and stuff like that, and this could be one of them. So
Yeah, and we saw it linger with Burrow for several weeks, and him look
he looks
not very good. But
he looks like he's fixed.
yep, yep. So it could be something to monitor. Like if Charbonnet's out there on waiver wires, pick him up. He shouldn't be, because if it's a serious injury for Walker, then Charbonnet's a big play. Tyler Lockett had a good game. Metcalf 5 for 67. JSN caught a touchdown. Again, I would like to see a game where this passing offense really dominates. I just haven't seen it this year, but hopefully it comes soon. So we'll move on from that game to the Ravens at the Cardinals. Another weird game where Ravens looked like the best team in the NFL last week and what they did to the Lions. And then they didn't look so great again. I know they scored 31 points, but this game was pretty close for most of the game. Lamar Jackson, disappointing fantasy week. 150 yards passing and a touchdown, 17 yards on the ground. Gus Edwards had 3 touchdowns. So if you started him, you're excited. Is he becoming, Dad, a potential? You're locking him in your lineup. This is a good offense, and he has touchdown opportunity every week.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that. So
yeah, it's
he seems like he's going to get the majority of the carries, and until something changes, injury or something like that. So time to roll with Gus.
The Gus bus. Yeah, I kind of agree. Like, it was crazy. He's RB16 on the year, like basically because of 2 good weeks, back-to-back 20-point weeks. That will do it for you. In terms of the usage, real quick, their running back usage, it was still, I think, even Justice Hill looks pretty good. They're still basically splitting. Gus Edwards, 34 snaps, Justice Hill, 31. But if Gus Edwards is going to get the goal line carries, that's going to be pretty valuable in a hopefully good offense. So, I think he's becoming kind of a must-start kind of guy. Maybe touchdown or bust, but something to keep an eye on. Mark Andrews, 4 for 40 and a touchdown. You're not worried about him or anything. Zay Flowers, 5 catches for 19 yards. I've kind of been like, I like Zay Flowers. I think he's really good. It's a rookie, but I think we have overrated him a little bit in terms of his fantasy year. Like, he's had 2 games of over double-digit points. He had, up until this game, he had a pretty safe floor of like 9 points, 8 points. But do you think he's ever going to get to like difference-making level, Dad, like top 20 guy this year, or is he kind of stuck as like a wide receiver?
I don't think so, but if flex guy, wide receiver 3, that's where I kind of see him, I guess. So
yeah, it's fair. Safe floor, still like the guy a lot, but also I just don't know if the Ravens under Lamar Jackson, we've seen Hollywood Brown have one good year. Like, I don't know. Like, I think it was 2020 where Hollywood Brown he was wide receiver 34 that year. I know 2019 was his MVP year. So just keep that in mind. Like, we haven't seen wide receiver 23 is the best we've seen for a Ravens wide receiver under Lamar. So that could be kind of the ceiling, a top 20, a low end number 2. Cardinal side, they put up a fight. They got it close. I don't know if you saw how that game was folding out, but they were down 2 possessions, scored a touchdown, missed the 2-point conversion because they had a penalty. And then they got the onside kick. And if they had gotten that 2-point conversion and got the onside kick, they could have tied the game. But they end up losing. Josh Dobbs, I wonder if do you think anyone trades for him, Dad?
Trades?
Brings him in. Like, do you think the Vikings trade for him and bring him in as their cool?
Yeah, I don't know. I was just gonna. I've seen something kind of weird. They already announced yesterday, that Kyler Murray or Dobbs is going to start this week.
Yeah, I saw that.
And Kyler Murray's not even on the injury report, and there's something strange going on there. I don't know. do we call it tanking or something like that? I mean, you're 1-7. You're competitive, but you're 1-7. I mean, does Kyler Murray want to play? You know, like, hey, you guys better put me in, or maybe they're still worried, about him getting hurt, or it can't be he's still rehabbing and things like that. So it's just kind of weird situation.
Yeah, it is. Maybe it's like a mentally prepare yourself type of thing. I agree though. It is a little weird.
Yeah, you should have been doing that a couple weeks ago, but
yeah, you would hope so. That being said, like if you need a quarterback next week, I don't think Josh Dobbs is the worst. He's QB 12 on the year. That's with week 1 when he came in 2 weeks prior. He had 1 point that week. But other than that, he's had 3 games over 20 points since week 2. 2 more games over 16 points. So if he runs, he does well. He had 200 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 26 yards on the ground, and a touchdown. So 3 total touchdowns. So just double checking Cardinals schedule here. Who did you say they were playing? The Browns. Okay, maybe you don't want to play them against the Browns. I don't know. But yeah, that's unfortunate. Maybe that's another reason why they're holding him out, because they don't want him to face the Browns his first game back, Kyler Murray. I don't know. If you started Amari DiMercado, you actually made the right choice. He had 21 total touches. It just turned into only 79 yards. I think James Conner has 1 more week off, and then it's up to so you could probably throw DiMercado in there if you're super desperate one more time. Trey McBride, Dad, if off the top of your head, is he the number 1 waiver wire target if he's out there on waivers?
I don't know. Is it just one big game and you're gonna throw all your eggs? I think the Cardinals offense is a little too inconsistent. I mean, there's some okay players: Michael Wilson, Marquise Brown, Rondale Moore. I mean, James Conner, who's obviously injured, was the only must-play guy on that team. Michael Wilson, rookie, he seems to be coming on a little bit. Trey McBride, I guess I don't know what he's done previous to this, but obviously he had a big game here.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, he's he was maybe the best tight end coming out last year. People were pretty high on him. He flashed for a couple games in his rookie year when he finally got the chance. And this team likes, especially with Josh Dobbs, they like to feed the tight end. And really, you talked about it, like who outside of like Marquise Brown is like a for sure reliable target on this offense, and that's kind of it. And then the tight end. So I'd keep rolling him out there. I mean, 14 targets, 10 catches, 95 yards, and a touchdown. Like, they're going to be playing a lot of garbage time, which he got a decent amount of that in garbage time. So, yeah, it's if I needed a tight end, I think I'd prioritize him potentially. So, Marquise Brown, 6 for 33 and a touchdown. It'll be nice to see what he does. I think he could have a big second half of the year with Kyler Murray. He's already wide receiver 19, and he was like a top 5 wide receiver with Kyler Murray last year. So I think he could have a big second half. But yeah, it'd be fun to see this team with Kyler a little bit. 3 more matchups for you. A shocking one here: the Chiefs at the Broncos. Somehow the Broncos win, and their defenses look good since they got blown out 70-20. Can you explain it, Dad, or is it just football?
I can't explain the defense, but I was thinking this game was going to be played in the snow and stuff like that. So I watched it, and obviously it wasn't. But I did notice the Broncos relying on Javonte Williams in the running game quite a bit.
Yes.
And it kind of there was I think it was the third period. The time of possession for the third period was way out of whack. It was like 10, 12 minutes for for Denver, and like just a couple, and there's Mahomes sitting on the sideline. So
yeah, and he was apparently sick. I don't know. It could have just been one of those games. Like,
he didn't look sick. He's running. I tell you, he runs the ball around. He seems to be running for his life a little bit more this year, but teams don't catch him.
Yeah, and this we talked about it. I know last week they had a big week. It was against the Chargers. Keep that in mind. But we up until then we were talking about this team doesn't. I know they're 6-1, but they didn't feel like the offense was really clicking. And we kind of gone back to that again. Is it because he's sick or something? I think they need a receiver. I wouldn't be surprised if they trade for a receiver because I feel like they need one. Like Rashee Rice, I think is fine as his role, but feels like they need a receiver desperately to really get this offense kind of clicking. This was Patrick Mahomes' first divisional road loss. Dad, did you hear that?
No, I didn't.
That's like one of the most insane stats. Dude's been playing since 2018, hasn't lost on the road to a divisional opponent until yesterday. And that was the Broncos' first time beating the Chiefs since Peyton Manning was the quarterback. So, yeah, kind of crazy. There. So I'm just kind of throwing it out the window. Like the Chiefs, you're still starting all the studs that are on this team. So Broncos, like you said, do you think they trade their guys, Dad? At least one of them?
Yeah, I'm not sure about their contract status, but it wouldn't shock me to see one of those guys, Judy or Sutton, kind of go. You kind of have a replacement. You got Marvin Mims there, rookie. Maybe is it time to plug him in? So that wouldn't be a shocker.
Yeah. Yep, I agree, and it is like you said, nice to see. Russell Wilson, for fantasy has been okay. Ups and downs and things like that, but he's QB 10 on the year. He's had 2 games over 20 points, 2 more games over 17 points, only really 1 bust game, and so you could probably get away with starting him, streaming him if you need him. Like you said, Javonte, it's nice to see they seem to have given him the full, like, this is your backfield type of thing. So he had his highest snap percentage of the year at almost 70%, I believe. And like you said, 27 carries, only turned in 85 yards, but also caught a touchdown. Jaleel McLaughlin's still good. He's a good player, but he's the perfect, change of pace or give him a breather type of back. So, yeah, I think Javonte. What would you say, Dad? Is he going to be a top rest of season from this point on? Is he going to be a top 15, top 12 running back?
Javonte?
Yeah.
Yeah, he should be. I mean, look what they did yesterday. 27 carries. I mean, they should continue. Sean Payton isn't a dummy, but I know they were trying to keep Mahomes on the sideline. So, in the game dictates that too. So if you get behind or get too far behind, you got to start slinging the ball around to kind of catch up a little bit. But
yeah, I think he will be a top 10, 12 guy for sure.
Should be.
So, and we kind of expected this, like coming back from the major injury, we said things could be slow. And here we are, end of October, kind of things are going to pick up, I think. So, good to see that for sure. So keep an eye on Marvin Mims. Like, again, you mentioned it. If they trade one of these guys, he could have a lot of value. I'm holding him on my team until tomorrow. And it's nice. Trade deadline's Tuesday. Waivers run Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. So you should know if they don't trade any of them, you can move on from Marvin Mims. If they do, it could be intriguing. So 2 more games for you guys. Bengals, 49ers. We'll start with the Bengals. You mentioned it, Dad. Joe Burrow's back. No more questions. No more worries.
No, man. I seen him take off running, and he's moving around the pocket and stuff like that. There's no calf issues. The only thing that scared me, well, concerned me, if you're Joe Burrow fan, boy, he threw the ball and he got nailed by somebody and driven into the ground on his right shoulder, and I'm like, damn, that's a recipe for disaster. But nothing happened out of it.
I think we take for granted, just like I saw that with like Herbert last night too, where he got.
Oh yeah, he got killed.
I think we don't realize like how painful that would be. Like just someone smashing into you. It's pretty amazing that these guys don't get hurt on those every play like that. But yeah, Burrow 280 for 3 touchdowns. He was running around a bit. He ran for 43 yards. So yeah, no concerns there. And to his credit, like I was kind of one of those like, they need to shut him down, IR, blah blah blah. He got to the bye week at 3-3. Now they're 4-3. AFC's wide open in my opinion. Is this a top 5 team in the AFC, Dad? Easily?
Yeah, they look like they're getting on the old Cincinnati Bengal roll, starting to roll. And, Mixon looks really good.
He did actually, yeah, surprisingly.
That's guy's a good running back. There's no drop off in his area, but
I think we need to reevaluate, like, oh my God, the 49ers defense. We'll get to that in a second. But yeah, Mixon, 100 total yards, looked really good, 5.5 yards a carry, scored a touchdown. Jamar Chase, 100 yards and a touchdown. Even T. Higgins got 5 for 70. So yeah, I think the Bengals are back for sure. And you're starting all those guys. The 49ers side, Brock Purdy is looked human the last few games for sure. Like I saw another clip I know he had a concussion last week, and they were showing his stats pre-concussion, post-concussion. It was pretty alarming. And they showed another clip of this game where he went down and he was holding his head. So I don't know if he got another concussion in this game. So keep an eye on that. But I don't know if it's Debo missing time and how important Debo was to this team. I think that has something to do with it. He threw for 365 yards, but 2 bad interceptions. And they kind of come like when it starts to cave in on them, they seem to come, back-to-back kind of plays type of thing, which is you don't want to see. It's amazing how fast the NFL can change, because I was thinking 5-0 49ers. Can this team go undefeated? I obviously didn't think they would, but you thought this team had a clear path to the NFC Championship game, and now I don't know. Like, are you worried about the 49ers? I'm more worried about their defense than anything.
Yeah, it seems strange how things have changed, but missing Debo, my God, you still got McCaffrey and Kittle and Ayuk. It's like, what the hell else do you need? You need the whole band or something like that. But I know everybody's kind of pointing to that. I was watching the NFL Network last night, and they were. He's been gone 3 weeks, so I mean, we'll see what happens when he comes back, but yeah, Brock Purdy looks pretty normal, doesn't he?
He does, and it makes me wonder, like Kyle Shanahan, like he'll move to another quarterback if he's not. I think the biggest thing he hates the most is turnovers from his quarterback, as any coach would, and he's liked Sam Darnold since coming out of college, so. They get a bye week. Hopefully they can get healthy, see how they look after the bye. I still think this team's really good. They lost. I always forget their left tackle's name, who's I think
Trent Williams.
Trent Williams is a pretty vital part of their
that's
their offense.
To me, that's bigger than Debo, but
yeah. So you're still getting numbers from guys here. McCaffrey still had 100 total yards and 2 touchdowns. He's tied the record for most touchdowns in consecutive games. George Kittle had 9 for 150, Ayuk 5 for 109. So you're still happy with all those. But their defense, I don't think we need to be worried about playing the 49ers defense anymore. Like, I don't think they're it's funny though how like 49ers are 5-3, Bengals are 4-3, almost the same, identical schedule records here. But don't you feel so much better about the Bengals than you do the 49ers? Like,
Definitely.
because
Right
it came
now,
in reverse
yeah.
order.
It's funny how
in
things.
reverse order.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Like I always used to say, you break the season up into quarters.
Mm-hmm.
So they crown people at the end of September, and they crown people for October, and then we start seeing the real good teams, in November and December. So
Yep, injuries pile up and shows your depth and all that. So, but anyways, into the last game, the Sunday night game, Bears at Chargers. It was nice to see, as a Chargers fan, them just win a game that wasn't close, a game they should have won. They were the better team, and it was just nice to not see it come down to the end for once. The Bears side of things, you're starting a rookie quarterback that played in Division II. Like, what do you expect, kind of? And Tyson Bagent, I always forget. I don't know. Just not much to talk about. We need Justin Fields back, I think. Like, Cole Kmet, 10 for 79. Like, that's awesome to see. DJ Moore, 455. I don't know, Dad. You just kind of waiting for Justin Fields to come back to really evaluate the Bears.
Yeah, definitely. They should have leaned on the running game a little more, but I know they got behind. By 14 points in the first quarter. So, yeah, you need Fields back. He was starting to hit. He was kind of starting to hit his stride a little bit, and it's too bad.
Yeah, you're right.
That injury.
Yeah. In terms of the running back usage, good a bit again. Actually, Roshan had the most snaps. Didn't turn much into anything for anyone. 6 for 21 for Roshan, 9 for 34 for Deonta Foreman. Roshan had 3 catches. I don't know. It's hard to know. Khalil Herbert's going to be coming back soon. So do you just want to move off of all these guys? Kind of. I mean, obviously you have them on your roster for at least another week, but are we not going to get a viable starting running back for the Bears the rest of the season? With Khalil Herbert coming back and Foreman in here and Roshan, and what's your opinion there?
Yeah. I don't know if you got guys, if you some of the Bears players and stuff like that, commit, and I don't know, the running game. I like Foreman.
Yeah.
Definitely. To me, there's only a couple of receivers worthy of fantasy. That's, obviously DJ Moore and then the tight end, Cole Kmet. So, I mean, we'll see, what happens, when Justin Fields comes back and stuff like that. So,
Yep. We will see. On the Chargers side, again, nice to see them just have, like, first 4 possessions. I think it was like touchdown, field goal, touchdown. It's like, all right, finally, Herbert was good. 3 touchdowns, 300 yards. We saw Eckler have an Eckler type of game where he had 120 or 30 total yards and 125 total yards with 7 catches and a touchdown. Keenan Allen, 8 for 69. Quentin Johnston did something, 5 for 50. Josh Palmer had a knee injury coming into the game. It looked like he re-injured it pretty badly in the game and then came back. So that was interesting to see. I don't know. Donald Parham caught a touchdown. I think you could potentially stream him if you need it next week. But, it's good to see the Chargers play well and against the Bears, of course. But they get the Jets next week, so we'll see. Anything you want to really comment there? Like, I don't think there's – like, we're starting Eckler, Herbert, Keenan Allen, like no question. So
Yeah, that would. We'll see. They gotta travel to New York too, so that'll be an interesting matchup for next week. See who the Chargers really are.
Indeed. Any games up in the air going into tonight for you, Dad? Or are they all kind of settled?
Nah, I know I got guys going tonight. Amon-Ra St. Brown and somebody else I can't remember.
Devontae Adams.
I think everything's kind of settled.
Yeah, I have one league where I'm down 30 points. I have Jacobs and Devontae Adams in a PPR league, so
oh boy,
it's gonna be cutting it close. The percentage thing gives me 83% chance, but I don't know. They're projecting Jacobs for 19 points, and it's kind of like I don't know. Lions have like not given up that to anyone except for Gus Edwards, but anyways, we'll finish up there. We'll be back with the preview show as always. Like and subscribe, and catch you guys next time.